Welcome to Reparenting Radio. I'm Lisa Watson, architect of human transformation. This is a space for leaders, parents, and anyone ready to break old patterns, regulate their nervous system, and show up in their life with clarity and self-trust. If you're ready to change the way you lead, parent, love, and live, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Reparenting Radio. Today, I am going to talk about something few people have the language for, and I think more and more people are experiencing. Life just feels kind of flat or empty, maybe uninspired, not necessarily depressed or sad, but just sort of blank. It's the gap between who you were trained to be in your conditioning and who you're becoming when you finally decide to stop performing. And if you've been someone who is recoding your patterns, your beliefs, your reactions in your relationships, this episode, it's really going to land with you. Because that in between, it's the old moves don't work anymore. Over-explaining, chasing, fixing, shrinking, you're not doing that anymore. But the new moves feel awkward still. So you pause and it can feel like you're frozen between two worlds. Your nervous system's still getting dysregulated. Today, I want to walk through what the void actually is and how people accidentally sabotage themselves while in the void. And yes, I'm going to keep it real like I always do because I know this stuff because I've lived and practiced this stuff. So we're absolutely going to keep it real today. The first thing to understand is this. Most people are addicted to familiarity. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just literally how we're wired. We're addicted to familiarity, not because it's healthy, but because it's known. Your nervous system does not automatically choose what is best for you. It chooses what is predictable and familiar, what is homeostasis to your system. So when you begin healing, when you stop people-pleasing, you stop over-explaining, you stop rescuing, you stop chasing, you stop abandoning yourself, you remove behaviors that used to give your system a sense of control. Even if those behaviors were exhausting, even if they were toxic, and even if they kept you small, they were familiar. The void is when your system says, wait, if I'm not doing the old thing, what am I supposed to do now? For a lot of people, the void will show up right after they make progress, which makes total sense. You set a boundary and suddenly you feel empty. You stop chasing and now you feel restless. Once you stop over-functioning, you kind of start to feel guilty. And when you stop performing, you start to kind of feel unsure of who you are. This is the nervous system recalibrating after an identity shift. The old program was potentially for you, if I manage everyone's feelings, then I'm safe. The new program is I can be safe while being authentic and hold firm boundaries. That new program's better, but it may not be fully installed yet. So the space between those two, what that feels like, that's the void. And it feels like there's something wrong, but there's nothing wrong. The void is a liminal space. And humans have always known this. There's a reason that ancient cultures had rites of passage. There's a reason religions have feasts and fasts and Sabbaths and winters and retreats, because humans have always known something that modern society loves to deny. Transformation has a middle. Not the beginning, not the breakthrough, not the new life, the quiet middle, the in-between. The season where you're not who you were, but you're not yet who you're becoming. This is a traditional truth, and honestly, it's old wisdom. The world has always had language for this. Modern culture just calls it unproductive, lazy, stuck, unmotivated, falling behind, seasonal depression. We'll label it with something that it really isn't. Because from a nervous system lens, the void is often the most intelligent season your body can enter. Because your system is finally resting from survival mode. And rest can feel like emptiness to a system that only knows worth through output, which we mostly all have been trained to do. That's what the indoctrination program of our school system trained us to do. Know our worth through output. And if your nervous system still equates productivity with safety, performing with love, achievement with belonging, then quiet will feel like danger. So if the void scares you, that doesn't mean that you're off track. It often means that you're finally not running. I moved to Mexico 4 years ago, and I was unwinding from a long-term marriage that had ended and the beginning of a new one. And I was always been a very type A personality, never sit down, people please, perfectionist sort of thing. And in the work that I was focusing on and the studying that I was doing during that time, I committed myself to deleting those programs. So I swung the pendulum to the other end, moved to Mexico, and practiced doing nothing the best that I could. I did a pretty good job, but let's just say I was still working on my PhD and doing lots of other things. But I made the conscious decision on a daily basis to take time to do nothing, even if that meant walking to the beach and just sitting there and not necessarily getting in the water, but just doing nothing, just sitting there. And it was uncomfortable for me. Not working, not cleaning, not building, just being. So let's talk more about why we're so uncomfortable in the void. And let's talk about founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders for a second, okay? Because I'm a founder, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've learned so much about the spiritual journey that it is. There's a whole new level of uncomfortable that can come with the void. Because in our businesses, we're trained by necessity. We have to build, we have to decide, we have to ship stuff, solve problems. We got to move things. Even when we're terrified, we have to move. So the void feels like death to a leader because the void removes the feedback loops. In business, you have numbers, metrics, results, traction, and in the void, you have none of that. Just you, your mind, your body, your patterns, your questioning. And if you've been using motion to avoid emotion like I used to, the void will expose that immediately. You can force a void by moving to Mexico and just sitting on the beach for a while too. But this is why high capacity leaders do incredible when they're in crisis, but they feel completely destabilized in the calm because calm requires presence, and presence will show you that your busyness was covering the fact that your nervous system was not regulated, covering the people-pleasing, covering the shame, the guilt, the beliefs that you had to do more. And parents feel the void as guilt. Parents experience the void in a very specific way because parenting is a role where doing is constant. Feeding, managing, cleaning, solving, regulating, staying ahead of problems. So when a parent begins healing and they stop over-functioning, they often feel guilty. They think, oh my gosh, if I'm not doing it, I'm failing. Oh no, my house is dirty, my kitchen's not clean, the car's a mess, the kids, something isn't taken care of. So the void can feel like, I don't care anymore. Or maybe you're just not spiraling anymore and your nervous system's no longer addicted to urgency. And the first time you experience that, it can feel like emptiness because urgency used to be your normal aliveness. But what the void is neurologically is that your brain is in predictive mode. It's a predictive machine. And it learns patterns like, if I do X, I get Y. If I say this, I'll avoid conflict. If I perform, I get approval. If I stay small, I stay safe. And most of these are subconscious programs that are running from our childhood. And when you change your behavior, your brain experiences something called a prediction error, meaning I expected the old outcome, but the old behavior isn't happening. That creates internal uncertainty. That ego again saying, what do I do? You're not calling on me to do my job. Like you're putting your hand up to me. I'm not allowed to come to work today. What's going on? And uncertainty to the nervous system often registers as a threat. So the void is frequently your old dopamine loops are collapsing. Your old identity scripts are going offline. Your emotional body is detoxing from familiar stress hormones. And your attachment system is recalibrating. Think about this, okay? You may not be able to see it. You just feel, But there's a lot going on in there, okay? Your system is literally withdrawing from old coping strategies. Give yourself a break. So if you feel restless, it's not because you're broken. It's because your body's learning how to exist without the old strategy. And yes, sometimes your system misses the chaos. Not because chaos was good, but because chaos was familiar. Remember, we always go back. We want to go back to homeostasis. That's where we're safe. And if you're nodding right now, welcome to the human race. This is all part of just being human. But some people sabotage themselves while in the void. And this is not a flaw. This is learning to navigate. Trust me, I've been there. Most people don't fail in the breakdown. They fail in the quiet because the quiet doesn't give them a villain. That makes sense. If we have something to blame, we're having an absolute breakdown. There's an argument, there's a health issue, there's something that we can place it on. That feels better than just the quiet. So what do? Some common void sabotaging strategies are manufacturing a problem, pick a fight, or you start to spiral and then you obsess over something minor maybe, because intensity feels like identity. Or maybe you go back to that old relationship, and that's okay. All of these things are okay. This is us learning how to ride the bike, and sometimes we fall off. We just get back on. There's never any shame in this reparenting, reprogramming process. I need to make sure I say that often here because there is no shame. We're all doing the best that we can with the programs that we have. We're just remembering that we're also the programmer. So we need to recognize what these programs, patterns, and behaviors are so that we can take back the wheel. So maybe we do go to an old relationship, even if it's toxic, even if it drained us, even if we worked really hard to get out of it, because the void feels lonelier than familiarity. Or we overcreate. We create a new offer, a new brand, a new plan, a new strategy. We got to take a new direction because stillness feels unsafe and we feel like we must move. We have to do. Or we just go numb. We numb out the feeling. We try to resist feeling the nothingness with alcohol or scrolling or shopping, overeating, overworking, distractions. Not because we're weak, but because our system is recalibrating, because we're evolving and we're learning to let go of beliefs and patterns and behaviors that no longer serve us. We can also interpret the void as a sign that we're off track. I think this is the biggest one. You know, we might say things like, I don't feel motivated, so something must be wrong, or I don't feel certainty, so I must be failing. I don't feel excited, so I must be going backwards. No. Sometimes the void is simply your nervous system is just catching up for you to grow. Just let it be. The void is a reboot phase. And we can treat the void like a system update. Old code is being removed. The void is like the womb because you're birthing a new version of yourself within the void. It's a sacred, to be perfectly honest with you. And every time I've come out of the void, I've come out so much better and stronger and wiser and more resilient and tapped in than I've ever been before. So here's the exact way that I work with the void. Okay, here are the steps. First of all, it's awareness, naming it. This is the void. This is the, this is the womb space. This is the in-between. Okay, my old ones are going offline. I get it. My system's recalibrating. I'm letting go of things. I'm trying new things. Or my system is forcing me into it. I'm being guided that way. My oversoul knows better than me, and this is happening. The awareness matters because it does reduce the fear. And when you can locate the root of something, you stop treating it like a threat. The not knowing is the most disorienting. The second step is attunement. You want to speak to the part of you that's scared, because usually it's not your adult self that's panicking. It's either your ego or your inner child, or maybe even your body mind if you've taken on new habits that are changing you hormonally, or you're eating different things than you used to. Your body may be craving and wanting to get back to its homeostasis. The 5 selves. I talk about the 5 selves. And I haven't yet in this episode, but you can listen to episode 17. So there's a younger part of you that's saying, where's the map? Where are we going? Is this certain? Do I approve of this? Where's the next step? And you're going to show up like a good parent, like a leader. I know this feels unfamiliar. I know you want a plan. I'm here. We're safe. And we're not rushing back into any old loops. We're just resting right now. And I've got you. Because number 3 is safety. And number 2 sets you up to feel this. Because you need to get out of the mind and into your body. The void isn't solved by overthinking. It's soothed and solved by regulating. Regulating your nervous system is going to help you move through the void, staying in that present moment without fear. So nice deep inhales and long exhales, walking. I love walking early in the morning or in the evening. If you can watch a sunrise or sunset, that's very helpful. Getting plenty of sunlight, plenty of hydration, stretching, moving your body, music that regulates and inspires you, maybe affirmations that ground you, good sleep. This is ancient wisdom, by the way. Eat, sleep, walk, breathe, pray, repeat. The old ones were not confused about this. The 4th step is you're reassigning leadership, okay? This is the pivot. The younger part of you wants to pivot, and your job is to say, no, don't run. We got this. We're not making any impulsive decisions. We don't make really any decisions in the void. You don't get to create chaos for stimulation. Leadership is what ends panic. So you're taking charge of yourself. You're saying, hey, I know what this is. This is the void. I bring awareness to it. I know what to do. I'm going to soothe myself. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to start installing new programs through the words, through my self-talk. I'm going to tell myself this is okay. We're in the void, and tell myself where I'm going, that I'm becoming a better version of myself, that I'm safe, and that I have good boundaries, and I'm demanding better for myself now, and I'm not putting up with the BS that I used to put up with. This is the recode section. This is when we install the new beliefs. The void is where you practice new identity statements without proof yet. Things like, I don't chase clarity, I cultivate stability. I don't need urgency to be safe. Stillness is allowed. This is the reprogramming. I can be in the unknown without abandoning myself. I trust the new code. Every word we say to ourselves is a command. This is what we have to realize about the brain and the way that we work as humans. This is why the reparenting, the re-method works. Talk to yourself, program yourself, tell yourself what you want to believe. Step into that character. Be it. I don't chase clarity. I cultivate stability. Say that to yourself every day when you wake up. Say that to yourself. Affirmations help ground you, and they help install new code. I listen to them for hours a day. Every day when I walk, sometimes while I'm sleeping. I create new ones weekly. Just programming myself into who I want to be. The simplest one is saying to yourself, this is not emptiness. This is space. And space is where new life forms. Just like the womb. You're moving through the void well. If you are feeling less reactive, you're not performing for approval, regardless of the comments that are being made. You're more selective with your energy. You can sit in silence without spiraling. You're not chasing relationships to regulate. Your body feels calmer even if your mind feels impatient. And you're making fewer impulsive decisions. You're allowing yourself to not know without collapsing. And the biggest one, your life actually starts to get simpler. Not smaller, but just simpler, because you're no longer managing your worth. So if you're in the void right now, if you feel in between, uncertain, unmotivated, or weirdly blank, I want you to consider that you may not be stuck. Maybe you're just reprogramming, or maybe you're intentionally doing it. The void is not where you fail. The void is where your new self stabilizes. And the most mature thing you can do in the void is simply don't manufacture chaos. Don't run back to old patterns. Don't panic. Create a new identity. Stay present, stay regulated, stay loyal to the new code. Because you don't need to force the next version of you. You need to hold space for her arrival. And if you want some support mapping out what's running your system at work or at home or in your relationships and how to install new internal leadership, you can book a leadership reboot diagnostic with me. But for now, take this with you. This isn't emptiness. This is space. And space is where you find your authenticity. I'll be back next week. I hope you join me. Thank you for listening to Reparenting Radio. If today's conversation supported you, subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who knows they were made for more than the patterns they inherited. If you're ready for serious inner work and a committed transformation, personally or professionally, visit lisa-watson.com to explore my private and founder pathways. And for the little ones learning beside you, explore my children's books at awakentheone.org. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep reparenting the parts of you that are longing to come home to your authenticity.